Cardio from a conventional standpoint, that is 30 to 60 minutes on a treadmill or a bike, is one of the worst things you could do to lose body fat. And in this video, we're going to talk about why and some more strategic methods to get you in optimal shape, keep your muscle mass, build your heart, build your lungs, and perform like a champ. One of the worst strategies you can do to lose fat is to hop on a treadmill, hop on a bike, or a step mill, something along those sorts, and then go 30 to 60 minutes, 3, 4, 5 times a week. What you're going to find is you are going to waste away a lot of muscle. It's a huge mistake. So what do I recommend instead? The purpose of cardio, let's say 2, 3 times a week, is to actually develop your heart, your lungs to perform optimally, number one. Number two, to be super healthy, just in case something stupid like COVID hits you, where your lung capacity is something like 120% versus 90 or 80%, so that when you do get sick, you've got a strong heart and lungs to fight off any illness. So that's important. And the other reason why you want to do cardio is to feel alive and healthy, so you can keep up with your kids. You can keep up on the sports field. So you feel competent with your activity. You're not out of breath after walking up a set of stairs. That's the purpose of doing cardio. So should you be doing cardio? Absolutely. How many times a week? Maybe it's 2, maybe it's 3, maybe it's 4, depending on the activity and depending on what you want to accomplish with your body. But what about fat loss, Tom? I'm 10 pounds overweight. What should I do? I've always said this to people: when you're training hard, you're doing high intensity training, you're giving yourself days off to recuperate, what you're doing is you're allowing your muscle mass to go up. The moment your lean muscle mass goes up, what's going to end up happening is you're going to have a body that requires more energy. Let's say you're normally eating 15, 16,000 calories a week. Because your body is bigger, there's more muscle mass, all of a sudden now you're going to need about 17,000 calories to maintain that body weight. So if you continue to eat 16,000 calories, guess what's going to happen? You're actually going to get leaner. All right. So what you want to do is you want to get precise with your diet. If you want to lose body fat, you want to get super precise with your diet. You want to track your protein, you want to track your calories, you want to get into a routine where you eat the same foods for the most part, something enjoyable every day, and you don't get off track with emotional eating. That's critical. So the moment you have a template, you get your calories, your protein, you're locked down, you've got a better chance of losing body fat through just proper eating, just like anyone else would, only your eating is strategic. By doing it this way, then when you take a day off, you take your days off to actually recuperate and super compensate and build muscle, you're not sabotaging that with those extra sessions in the gym where you're on the treadmill for an hour. That to me is bullshit. That doesn't work. You end up getting smaller and you end up getting worn out. You end up craving more foods. Big mistake. Now, I know there's another high intensity proponent, Jay Vincent. I think he makes some great videos. He's a very knowledgeable guy, very, very creative with his content. He had said that cardio is bullshit. I agree with him. Having said that, he talked about decreasing your rest periods in between sets. So somebody asked me, Tom, what are your thoughts on that? Well, here's the thing. Does that work? If your goal is to become a fighting machine and you're training for an event that requires you to be in top shape, I think it's a great strategy. But if your goal is to build muscle mass, I'd rather take 2 minutes of recovery in between sets versus going down to 30-second rest periods and compromising the next lift. Okay, so compromising the next set because you're not totally recuperated from the last set. So here are my recommendations for cardio. Pick and choose what you think works for you based on your situation. You're going to find that maybe your situation is very similar to mine. Maybe it's different. You're going to go to one of my other suggestions. So here we go. If you're training with weights 2 to 3 times a week, which personally to me, that's all you need. You don't need a lot of time in the gym. It could be 20-minute sessions. It could be 30-minute sessions, and you want to put in your cardio. This is not for everybody, but my personal take is this. Everybody should be able to defend themselves. And I think one of the best ways to do that is through combat sports. So this might be up your alley. You might say, Tom, you're crazy. I'm not into that kind of stuff. But I will tell you this. The other days, the 4 extra days that I'm not training in the gym, I go to a club, I do jujitsu, and I'm going to tell you right now, boy, do you ever get in shape when you're rolling with people for 5 minutes and you realize the term getting into fighting shape. I got to tell you, there's a big difference between getting onto a treadmill and fighting for 5 minutes on a mat. There's a complete difference. And then you realize what you're made of when you roll for 5 minutes and you're gassed after 2.5 minutes. You want to get into mint condition, get into combat sports. So for me, it might be something like what I had suggested. For you, might be just getting a punching bag and working on your boxing skills. It might be joining an MMA class. It might be doing some Muay Thai. It might be doing kicks on that punching bag. I highly recommend the combat sports approach to getting into fighting shape, getting into good cardio shape. It makes you ripped, it's fun, it's productive, it's valuable. It's something that people need. That odd time, one time in your life where you're going to get into a fight and you've got to defend yourself. Cardio approach number 2, it's playing sports. There's a lot of people who love pickup hockey, basketball, tennis, volleyball, whatever it is. If that's your passion, doing that 1-2 times a week. The amazing thing about sports is there's a very much a stop-start nature to it where you're going really hard for 30 seconds. For example, a shift in hockey, you're going all out for 30 seconds. You hop onto the bench, you rest for a minute, then you're back out there for 30 seconds, just grinding it out. That kind of cardio is wicked for your heart. It's wicked for your lungs. And again, that's that performance aspect, feeling really good while doing something that you really enjoy. Do I recommend that? 100%. So if there's a sport that you enjoy that has a very much a stop-start nature to it, super hard, super intense, and then you back off on the intensity and you're cruising for a little bit, that kind of stuff is fantastic for your heart and lungs and highly recommended. Maybe 1-2 times a week. Again, you got to be cautious of the injuries that you could get playing something like soccer or football, but highly recommended if you're really a sports-oriented kind of person. Cardio number 3 is stuff like sprinting, cycling, swimming, and there's something to be said about that. If you've got a passion for getting onto a bike, whether it's mountain biking or long distance cycling, there's something magical about that. You take a look at guys who ride their bikes, they've got huge legs, huge calves, something like that. You're going out on a Sunday, you're hitting the road and you're going a great distance. I think it's fantastic. I think it's a really good idea if that's up your alley. Some people love swimming. The nature of doing maybe 5-10 lengths, you're using your entire body, your heart and lungs are getting worked. Again, that to me is true cardio. Swimming is fantastic. The other thing too is sprints. All right. You pick a 40-meter sprint length, whether it's on the beach or on a track or on a football field, and you're going 80% capacity. You don't want to go 100% capacity because I'll tell you right now, the violent contractions of sprinting full out, you're going to pull a hamstring, you're going to pull a quad. We don't need that. But going 80%, boy, does that ever strip off body fat, works your heart and lungs. And again, you feel like an athlete. You're training with a purpose in mind, and that's to optimize your health, optimize your performance, optimize your fitness levels. Now, can you overdo it? Can you go 3 to 4 times a week on a bike and go 1 hour? That's going to chip away at recovery. You're not necessarily going to get bigger, and you're definitely going to have to eat more. So do I recommend that? For some, if biking is your passion, absolutely. But if your goal is to build some muscle, maybe not so much. 3 to 4 times. Now you're taxing your body. Now you're overtraining. So you got to balance it out. But definitely 1-2 times a week, if that's something you want to do, highly recommend it. The 4th strategy is functional fitness. And that's stuff like doing burpees and specific movements to wrestling and judo. Some people know what I'm talking about. To shrimp, get out of positions, and you can do that kind of stuff on the mat. You do that for a full 30 seconds, and then you rest for 30 seconds, and then back on for 30 seconds, and then rest, and you do a bunch of cycles like that. Boy, does that ever work your body. And it's functional. It's for a reason. It's for a sport. Certain people who are doing sprint runs, getting your knees nice and high, 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off, or you can do a Tabata style where you're going 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off, all out for 8 rounds. It's 4 minutes of cardio. You can do 4 minutes of cardio twice a week. If you're doing Tabata style where you're going 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off for 8 rounds, that's 4 minutes. Or if you're doing rounds where you're going 30 seconds on, all out, 30 seconds off, 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off for 5 minutes, I will tell you for sure that you do that twice a week. It's 5 minutes, it's 4 minutes with Tabata. You throw that in a couple times strategically through the week, you will see the health benefits, and you're going to allow yourself to build the muscle and recuperate properly without doing much inroads to your body because of that cardio. Highly recommend that strategy. Definitely works because we're looking at a well-rounded person, a person who's muscular, a person who's got a strong heart, strong lungs, a person who feels amazing. Really important to be balanced. And then finally, you have the steady state cardio, people riding on the bike or a treadmill for an hour. Tom, what do you think of that? Here's my take on that. After a workout, if you're going to hop onto a bike for 20 minutes later on in the day to flush your lactic acid, get the circulation going, and you're multitasking by listening to a podcast or maybe sending messages, you're not going very fast, the purpose is to stimulate circulation in your body. Highly recommended. I wouldn't go so hard. I wouldn't go very long either. 60 minutes, I think there's better things you can do with your 60 minutes than being on a stationary bike, just pedaling away, watching TV. I think it's a bad idea. Teach their own though. I don't recommend it. Going for a hike on a Sunday with your family, walking the dogs, highly recommend that. It's not overly stressful. It's not overly intense. It clears your mind. You get the circulation going. That's actually going to aid in the recovery. That kind of steady state cardio is cool. But if you're using it as a tool 6 days a week, an hour a day to burn fat, you could have easily cut back on your calories and eaten a little more precisely and gotten the same benefits and allowed yourself to recuperate from your workouts and not feel exhausted. And then finally, you got the gourmet exercises that you see on YouTube and Facebook and all those reels that are really stupid. And I'm just going to show you a couple clips. These are the kind of exercises that you absolutely want to avoid for injury reasons, a waste of time, they're unnecessary. So here's a bunch of what I call fitness bloopers. Do not do these.
Some people love kettlebells. They are a tough workout, but I'm taking a look at the momentum involved here. You could easily hit your nuts with something like this. I'm looking at this guy's wrists right now, swinging around. I just don't find this safe. Now, who the fuck came up with this? This is cruel, hard labor here. He's not even swinging it properly. It's not productive. This sledgehammer could hit him in the face. What a dumb exercise. Along the same lines, here's another gourmet exercise that makes no sense, flipping around a tractor. This is so uncomfortable. This is not a balanced exercise. This could easily pull your biceps. Not worth it. This is just plain wrong. His attire, the way he's swinging around, looks like a fucking seal. Absolutely ridiculous. Good on him. He deserved this. And here's another stupid move. What is this guy thinking? There you go. Well deserved, buddy. Quick movement. He's not prepared. He's not wearing the proper attire. Same thing over here. This guy's obviously not a gymnast.
To conclude, if you're doing high intensity training and your goal is to put on some muscle and develop a great body, you're training 2 to 3 times with weights all out and you're allowing your body to recuperate, you cannot underestimate the value of working your heart and lungs. You need to do it. You need to put it in there. And if that's through functional training, if that's through a sport, Tabata, you need to put it in at least twice a week to work your heart and lungs. Highly effective strategy because, again, we don't want to be one-dimensional, muscle-bound people. Well, some people do. But I think it's more important to be a balanced individual who can perform well, feel well, not be so stiff, and have a life outside of just going to the gym and pumping iron and being a big tough guy. All right, so that's my take on it. Hope you enjoyed the video and looking forward to presenting some more in the future about various topics. If you have a topic, please share it.